Good day, Junior Techies. I'm Mrs. Brimacombe. We're going to look now at Chapter 2, Activity 4. You are provided with the information regarding the transactions related to Lux Services. The business is owned by Maxine Sally. Required: study the bank statement carefully and answer the questions that follow. So this activity, we are going to focus on the bank statement. It's important for you to understand how does the bank statement work when you look at it. So if we look at the bank statement, from the bank's perspective, we are a liability. They owe us money. Every time we deposit money into our account, it means they owe us that money. Every time money is withdrawn from our account, it means that they owe us less. Now, it's just important to understand before we go into more detail with this. When we show in our books, and I'm talking about our books, Lux Services, for example, this is our business. When we receive money, bank will always be debited. When a payment is made, bank will always be credited, irrelevant if the business has a favorable or an unfavorable bank balance. But when we look at the bank statement, it's the opposite. When the business receives money, it means that our bank statement, it will reflect on the credit side. It means happy. If you see transactions on the credit side, you are happy because that means you have money in your account. It means that the business received money. But when we look at when payments are made, money came off our bank account, that will appear on the debit side. And that means sad face. It means that I have less money in my account. If I have an unfavorable bank balance, that will show on the debit side. So we're going to look now at the questions. And the first question says, you bank with Downtown Bank. The bank statement indicates 65,000 as the balance on the 1st of March 2024. Does this indicate you have a favorable or an unfavorable balance? Give an explanation for your answer. So if we look at the bank statement, it says there on the 1st of March, 65,000. That indicates that we have a favorable bank balance. Why? They never indicated in brackets. Brackets means negative, unfavorable. There's no minus next to that 65,000, and it also doesn't show debit. That means that we have a favorable bank balance. So it's important to understand that if we did have an unfavorable bank balance, it would have shown in brackets, a negative sign would have been before the 65,000, or they would have mentioned that debit balance. Question 4.2. On which date was the statement received from Downtown Bank? It was on the 25th of March, 2024. Question 4.3, we have to complete all these missing figures. We're going to look at it a little bit later on. We're first going to go on to 4.4, calculate the total bank charges. So if we look on the bank statement, the word bank charges is not written there. You should know that bank charges consist out of cash deposit fee, service fees, credit card levy fees. All of that will be recorded in our books, Lux Services, as bank charges. So we group them together as bank charges. We're not going to list all of them separately. So when they say calculate the total bank charges, it means that we need to add the cash deposit fee plus the service fee plus the credit card levy fee, and my total bank charges is 690. Question 4.5 says, how much interest did Maxine earn? And that's why it's so important to understand the bank statement. What does debit and what does credit mean? If it tells you interest and it says on the credit side, it means that the business received interest. 216 was received. If it had interest and it said something on the debit side, that would have meant that we had an unfavorable bank balance, a bank overdraft, and the bank charged us interest on that overdraft. That would have been money paid towards the bank. So Interest credit is positive for us. It means that we've received interest for having money in our bank account. So now 4.6 says, identify the accounting term that will be used for the interest earned. We can't write it as interest earned. We have to write specifically what type of interest that we earn. That is called interest on current account or current bank account. So now to complete the next question, question 4.3, to supply the missing details in the bank statement. A reminder, when we look at our bank statement, credit means positive for us, money came into our bank account. So every time there's a credit entry, we will need to add. Debit means negative, money came off our bank account. So every time there's a debit entry, we need to subtract. So starting with the first one, we have to take the balance, 82,891 and 23 cents, and we need to add 7,500 minus 24,800 equals. So now I've got the balance and the balance, and I need to find, but how much cash was withdrawn from our bank account. Why do I say withdrawn? Debit means money came off our account. So the difference is 3,500. So now I'm just going to calculate the rest of the balances. Every time there's a debit entry, we need to minus. Every time there's a credit entry, we need to plus. So now with the bank charges, I can't just take the 690 and write one figure. After each transaction, we have to calculate the new bank balance. So every time the debit entry, again, it means we need to minus. Question 4.7, give an explanation for an overdraft limit. So this is just to give you a little bit background, how does an overdraft limit works. You have to apply for it at the bank. It is a short-term loan, which means that that money is paid back immediately, but the bank charges you interest as soon as you use that bank overdraft. So it's going to cost you money as soon as you use this facility. So if I look at this bank statement, the business, Lux Services, has been granted a maximum of 80,000. That's how much they've granted us, short-term loan. And as soon as we use it, that money is paid back immediately. It doesn't work like a credit card where you can pay it off monthly installments. Again, as soon as you use that facility, example, let's say I've used 20,000 that I owe the bank. As soon as I deposit 20,000, immediately that 20,000 is paid back. Question 4.8. Identify the advantages and disadvantages of cash card when making withdrawals of cash. So this means when we go to the ATM and we can withdraw money. Advantage, we can do it at any time. It's not restricted to banking hours. So anytime we need cash, we can go to an ATM and we can withdraw money. But disadvantages, there are lots of fraud and hijacking. Cards can get lost and stolen, and that can then be, they can actually withdraw money from your account. So it does have its advantages and also disadvantages. With a card, I can swipe anytime, any place, as soon as there's a card machine as well. So it's a lot more convenient. Question 4.9. What is the correct accounting term that will be used to record the transaction? So refer to day 9. On day 9, it says EFT. So the business received an EFT from John. And why do I say received? Because it appears on the credit side. Credit side means that the business received money. So that will be rent income. We can't just show it as rent, because in a business, we could also be renting. That means rent expense. If we're renting out our property, that will be rent income. So now if I ask for number 2, name the source document used to record the transaction in the books of the business. So how would we show it in our books? It means rent income is what we've received. The source document, because it's paid directly into our bank account, it will be bank statement. This will be the source that we will use as evidence that the money was paid into our account. Indicate the influence this transaction will have on the accounting equation. So if I look at the business receives money from our perspective, and that is Lux Services, when the business receives money, bank will always be debited. Again, can you see? It's the opposite from the bank statement. Account credited, rent income, my assets will be plus 7,500. That income will have a positive effect on my owner's equity. Liabilities, nothing. I hope that you have a better understanding of the bank statement. Thank you very much. I want to leave you with this quote. Every accomplishment starts with the decision to try. Have a wonderful day.